let's do it. Good morning people, and welcome back to the channel. And it is new bike day, and this time it's electrified. Now I know what you're thinking, didn't you get a new bike just recently? Well, the perks of waiting a year for a bike means you can make a move on the next one that much sooner. Plus it was a crime of opportunity. My mate from 99 Bikes at Bondi called me up, said they got a large site in, and asked me if I wanted it. So I figured it's 2022, I don't know when this opportunity will come again, I might as well jump on it. Join me for a quick electrified lap and I'll tell you how I'm feeling about the bike for this not quite first ride. So I got the bike built up last week and took it for a ride over the weekend, and so far I have been enjoying it way more than I thought it would. So we'll take it on some tracks today, mix a trail and some fun descents, and I'll let you know how it feels. So this is the Norco Site VLT A1, which means it's the electric aluminium model of the site that I own. The Geo is pretty similar. The trail actually goes down there. We'll ride out this way. And the Geo is pretty similar. It's got a 64-degree head angle, 485 reach in the size large, 29er wheels. Oh, I just had our first electric bike related issue. One of the cables pulled out. Have to put a cable tie on that guy. So yeah, it's 150 rear travel, 160 fork on it. And the main difference in the Geo with this and the regular site is the chainstays are 462, which is about 20 mil longer than the regular site. And I was a bit worried about that number because it's a fairly long chainstay, but you know, they've got to do that because there's a motor where the bottom bracket usually is, and it's a full 29er rather than a mullet. And I've been getting on with it really well. So I've spoken before in other e-bike videos when I've gone on demos about the speed limit, and yeah, it's the same issue here. The speed is capped at 25 k's an hour, which is a legal thing. I assume that's the same for mobility scooters and any other electric powered non-registered device, but yeah, it's just that little bit slow. It's fine for this stuff. There are plenty of trails where you end up over the limit, and especially when you're getting to the trails on the roads and stuff, it's just like, it's fine, but you could get there that much faster. But it is what it is, and I gotta say, out of the motors I've tried, the Shimano has the least amount of drag once it disengages. Right, let's start off with some XC. Pretty fun track, I think many people would know it. Oh, came close to that tree. Right, we've got a fun little descent coming up. I mentioned the speed limit, I'm over it now. Once gravity's on your side, it really doesn't matter. So climbing is obviously pretty easy on this, because of the motor obviously, but especially the climbing geo that Norco give their bikes. So really steep seat angle, around 77, 78 degrees, and the long chainstay, both work together, just keeping that front end planted. I've really enjoyed riding single trail like this on this bike, because it's rewards you to push, and it's really great cornering practice. It's like a race run, like a super flow race run on a regular bike. I find the e-bike makes it, a mellow trail, seem like it's a bit more downhill, and that has benefits to me. Like, I can feel my body and my arms getting fatigued, hand pump, and just working on corners so much more because your average speed is higher. Right, let's talk about this motor, because the EP8's got a lot of press and not all of it's been good, and a lot of that's focused on a rattle that comes from the gears. Apparently that helps the motor disengage better, which is something I've noticed on this. It does have less drag when you're above the limit. But so far I think, unless my bike's still wearing in, that it's been blown totally out of proportion, because I hate rattles in my bike. And while I do notice that the motor rattles a little bit, I don't feel it, and it's not loud enough that it bothers me. The motor's performance is interesting. So there's noticeably less torque than the Bosch, for example. And that means to me that I actually ride more naturally, because it forces me to change gears more. Where the Bosch, I just kind of stuck it bottom third of the cassette and never shifted. So that's something to be said for maybe having less power. Of course, when you're faced with a fire road of death, you probably don't want that. But I think it's fair to say that there's pros and cons either way. So I mostly ride around in trail mode, and then for big climbs or for just kind of access trails, I might stick it in boost. I haven't really had big days where I need to worry about battery life, so eco hasn't been a factor, but I have switched to profile 2 from profile 1, which is more aggressive in all the modes, as I've gotten more used to the power. So yeah, haven't played around with customizations. Maybe that's something I'll do later, but pretty much a set and forget guy when it comes to stuff like this. Plus whatever power mode it's in, there's always more power than my legs. Good deal. Light one. Oh, that's a fun one. So why did I get an e-bike all of a sudden? Especially after, you know, enjoying but not being blown away by the ones I'd ridden. Not because of the bikes, but just because of electric bikes in general. Well, I had a bunch of friends who've got into e-bikes recently, so that's opened up the option of some e-bike only rides, which will be a lot of fun, be a lot of faff, and we'll fit more trail in. And then fitting more trail in is kind of the other factor. So a lot of my rides are by myself, and I might only have an hour to get out. Plus, you know, turn 40, I'm allowed to have an e-bike ride.
Unfortunately, this ride was cut short by a flat tyre, but given it was just the first look, I think we got a lot covered.
I got some big rides and a few nice upgrades planned, so look out for those in the future. And of course, more rides on the human powered bikes too. Weird little kicker.